Welcome back to the Murder Tapes podcast, season 4, episode 9. I hope you all had a great Valentine's or Galentine's Day. I'm currently counting down the days until I get to be on the beach because work has just been so chaotic for Wilson and I. Our schedules have really just been all over the place, and I'm also just so excited for the weather to be nice and warm again. Spring is my favorite time of the year, and my birthday's coming up. Today we're going to be talking about the Ana Trujillo case, and she's also known as the Stiletto Killer. On June 9th, 2013, 45-year-old Ana Trujillo and her 59-year-old boyfriend, Alf Stefan Anderson, took a cab to his condo after leaving a Houston bar. Once they made it inside, they began arguing, and that soon turned physical. Everything escalated very quickly, and Ana grabbed her $1,500 suede navy 5.5-inch stiletto heels from Christian Louboutin and stabbed Alf 25 times in the face. Interestingly enough, Alf purchased these shoes for her. When police arrived at the door, Ana answered and was covered in blood. Alf was lying on the floor behind her, and Ana would tell police that Alf attacked her first, and that she was acting in self-defense. She also mentioned that she didn't realize she hurt him until she saw blood on the floor. Investigators believe that Ana sat on top of Alf and hit him over the head with her 5.5-inch stiletto heel. 3 days after her trial, detectives played the recording of Ana's interrogation just hours after she killed Alf. In that video, she tells detectives that when they returned to Alf's condominium following a night of drinking, they began arguing because he was jealous that another man bought her a drink. Ana also said that she was supposed to visit her family the following day in Waco, but Alf got angry and thought she was using that as an excuse to leave him. She stated, quote, "His face turned bright red, and he became infuriated. And then he came towards me and said, 'You're not going to leave me ever.' Then Alf grabbed her and they both wrestled in the hallway. She said that she got away, but then he chased her and got on top of her, which prevented her from breathing. She also said that he began to growl at her. He soon lost his balance and she got on top of him. Quote, I was begging him to let me go. He grabbed me. I was hitting him with the shoe, telling him, please stop. Ana said she hit him because she knew he was going to get up and continue to hurt her. So she hit him a couple of times, and then he grabbed her hand and she lost the shoe. Quote, at first I didn't know there was blood coming out of him. He didn't seem like he was hurt. I reached over and my hands were full of blood. Officer Ashton Bowie testified that when he met Ana at the door of Alf's apartment, she appeared to be crying crocodile tears, and her face was oddly dry. Quote, she was sobbing, but no actual tears were coming down her face. Ashton also stated that there was so much blood, he thought Alf was shot in the head. Quote, I thought his head had been blown out by a gun. When asked why she kept hitting him, Ana replied that he wouldn't let go of her leg. Earlier in her confession, she mentioned that Alf drank heavily and was mentally abusive. She stated Alf was like many of her other male friends that wanted to marry her instead of being just friends. She also mentioned that she began to care for him, but wouldn't have sex with him because to her it was like sleeping with her grandfather. Ana told detectives Alf had some good moments, but would soon relapse into self-destructive behavior, and it got to be too much for her. Their cab driver, Rosemary Gomez, was the last person to see Alf alive. And she told the court that Ana's behavior left her worried about Alf's life before she dropped them off at his condominium. Rosemary said she told him, quote, you need to be careful, your friend is not in her right mind. Rosemary would then admit that he grabbed her hand, squeezed it, and said, I'll be okay. Rosemary said that Ana appeared to be drunk, cursing, and acting belligerently toward Alf while in the back seat. Prosecutor Sarah Mickelson would say, quote, the only thing we can be sure of in this case is that Ana Trujillo is not a victim. Ana Trujillo struck Alf Stefan Anderson 25 times with the heel of her shoe while he lay on the floor and bled out. The fact that she took a stiletto to his face 25 times and then paraded around town like she's the victim, that's insulting. Her defense attorney, John Carroll, told a whole different story. According to him, Alf slammed her head against a wall and threw her over the couch. Quote, "She couldn't breathe, and she was begging and begging for him to let her go. He started suffocating her. She did the only thing she could do, which was take a weapon at her disposal, which was a shoe, and start hitting him." I'm going to play audio from the Women Who Kill segment that they made on Ana, and in this you'll hear the recording from the 911 call that night, as well as her explaining her and Alf's relationship.
He was very intelligent, very charming. He seemed to be a very good person. And he completely fell in love with me. I always have loved shoes. And Stefan had a shoe fetish. He liked me wearing heels. That was his thing. He didn't ask for a lot of things, and I loved pleasing him.
It was a look that she was cultivating. It was that sexy Latina, the fun girl out on the town.
But things were about to take a turn for the worse. After a night out, Ana and Stefan had an argument that started in the back seat of a taxi.
Are you reporting an assault, ma'am? Yes, he assaulted me. I hit him with my shoe and he's bleeding. He started beating me up. When Houston police received Ana Trujillo's desperate 911 call, they raced to her boyfriend's high-rise condo and walked into a slaughterhouse.
During the guilt or innocence phase of the trial, jurors listened as Ana provided police with a lengthy 4-hour narrative about her previous relationships. Ana would admit that she had a very turbulent life. Prior to meeting Alf, another man punched her in her stomach when she was pregnant, leading to a miscarriage. Another time in 2009, some other man tried to rape her, so she beat him with a candlestick. That man testified during this trial and stated the attack was provoked and resulted in him being knocked unconscious. Alf's ex-wife, Jackie Swift, would say, quote, "She's all over the board. It's so disjointed. It's just a bunch of ramblings. She's evil. It's unfortunate that the death penalty doesn't apply here because if anybody were ever a candidate, it would be Ana Trujillo." Jackie also stated that Alf being violent couldn't be further from the truth. She would say in tears, quote, "Alf was never verbally or physically abusive to me. If anything, he instilled confidence in me, and he uplifted me. He supported me in so many ways. It wasn't in his nature to be demeaning." Alf's family and friends would also testify that he was a great person that was always helping others, and they couldn't believe how violent his death was. She claimed that on the night she killed Alf, they had an argument during which he wrestled her to the ground, making it difficult for her to breathe. After her conviction, Ana testified in her defense, taking 6 hours to recount the same convoluted story, once again avoiding details about the altercation. Her attorney, Jack Carroll, interrupted her several times, urging her to remain focused, by telling her to keep it short, sweet, and simple. Courthouse observers said Ana's testimony hurt her case more than it helped. The heels could be seen on the table in front of the jury. You could visibly see Alf's hair and blood on the left shoe, while the other was spotless. I mentioned at the beginning of the episode that Alf bought her the heels for $1,500, but it came to the jury's attention that this was a lie, and the heels were actually from Cupid and cost less than $100, which was another lie that they found Ana in. Another interesting find was that on an x-ray, it shows that the heel and sole were made of steel and resembled an ice hammer with a crooked handle. So as you can imagine, this would cause a lot of damage, especially when using it on something so sensitive like a human's head. Defense attorney Jack Carroll was surprised with the verdict. Quote, "They didn't ask any questions. They all seemed like they were in a good mood. I thought it was in the bag. I was wrong." Prosecutor Sarah Mickelson would say, quote, "I would submit to you that when you find her guilty of murder, you're not telling her anything she doesn't already know." 19 witnesses took the stand during the trial's punishment phase, and the majority testified that Ana had a lengthy criminal history, and they had had first-hand experiences of dealing with her behavior when she was drunk and violent. When Ana's sentence was being handed down, she could be seen crying. She would keep saying, quote, "I never meant to hurt him. It was never my intent. I loved him. I wanted to get away. I never wanted to kill him." Her attorney, Jack Carroll, asked jurors to find that Ana acted in the heat of sudden passion in order to limit her sentence to 2 to 20 years. He then proceeded to ask to give her a 2-year sentence. Quote, "Miss Trujillo needs mercy right now." Ana could be seen crying. In his closing arguments during the trial's punishment phase, Prosecutor John Jordan urged the jury to impose the maximum sentence, life in prison. He emphasized that Ana not only brutally murdered Alf, but also sought to tarnish his reputation during the trial by falsely accusing him of abuse. Quote, "Send the message that in our community, when you beat a man to death for no reason, when you come into a courtroom and you slaughter his good name, that we in Texas are going to hold you accountable." Prosecutor John Jordan then stepped onto a courtroom table in front of a dozen astonished jurors, positioned himself on a mannequin torso, and demonstrated striking the dummy in the face with a stiletto heel. This showed everyone in the courtroom just how harmful the heel was. Jordan would then say, quote, "She's not mentally unstable. She's crazy, scary crazy. I don't dare try to get into what's going on in her mind." Jury foreman Moin Khan would say there were too many strikes for the crime to be labeled as self-defense. Quote, "If you were to attack me, what would I do? Maybe hit and then get out?" Ana was sentenced to life in prison on April 11th, 2014, which is crazy because my birthday is literally April 11th, just a different year. Alf's niece, Ylva Olofsson, took the stand to give an impact statement. Most of the family is from Sweden. Quote, "I'm 110% sure that he was never violent with Ana Trujillo." She also mentioned that she spoke with her uncle several times a week and that he was dating someone else and not trying to keep Ana from leaving. Quote, "He was not depressed. He was happy." After her statement, she told Ana's family that she was sorry for what they had to go through. Ana's mom would say, quote, "I'm just sorry for the family of Alf Stefan Anderson. I'm truly sorry." Ana didn't show any emotions as her verdict was read. She mouthed the words, "I love you" to her family and was escorted out of the courtroom. Both families hugged afterwards. Ana is now 57 years old and is serving her life sentence at the Gatesville Correctional Facility. Alf was a professor and researcher at the University of Houston, and Ana was a mother of 2 who once worked as a former executive at Coca-Cola. After her second failed marriage, she was homeless for a little while. She dated around and had her bills paid by different men until 2012 when she met Alf and moved into his apartment. And this is why a lot of theories are that she did it for the money, she did it because she thought maybe she could get away with it, keep his condo, things like that. This case is so sad, and I truly feel for Alf's family because I cannot imagine how they felt after learning about what Ana did to him. And to also just listen to all of the false allegations and slandering of Alf's name is so heartbreaking. I'm from Houston, and prior to researching it, I had never heard about it. I was extremely shocked about how gruesome it was and just all of the little details. It made me wonder if this was the first time she had shown that type of behavior around Alf. Because if you remember, their driver stated that Alf grabbed her hand and said it's okay, like he'll be okay. And so I'm just curious if he's been in this situation before and he already knows how it's going to go, or if he genuinely just felt like nothing was going to happen. I usually include information on people's childhood and things like that, but I couldn't find anything about her childhood or too much on her life. And so I just found that very interesting. As always, all case information and links will be linked in the show notes. Feel free to follow our Instagram at Murder Tapes Podcast and my personal at Annalisa. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope to see you on the next one.